Don't throw your stone.
This is the Blood and Black podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black podcast. I'm Ryne from Coastploitation.com, and I'm joined by my co-host Mark.
How's it going?
We are punching, kicking, just being burly men over here on the Blood and Black podcast for this month. Doing our action movie marathon.
You gotta say the whole name.
Yeah.
You came up with the name. You need to say the whole thing.
Red Hot 80s Action Summer Part 2 Heat Wave Edition, starring Heat Wave Zone.
And I say you also you missed the opportunity to say like Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, but that's used so often now. Everybody
But I think
wants an Electric Boogaloo to their...
I know, but I think it's coming back in fashion now. Because how many people know? Like, if you were to ask somebody, like, what's that even from? They'd probably be like, I don't fucking know.
Well, that's probably true. I just know that, like, it's just overused, or it was overused. I didn't want to do it again. It's too often used. Even Minus the Bear used it in one of their songs, like, that was like 20 years ago. So used. Alright, so we last week we did Bloodsport. And this week we are going to revisit a film that was supposed to be part of last year's Red Hot 80s Action Summer. One that I prepared for, and we never ended up doing. I do remember why we never ended up doing it. Martin could not find a working copy of Roadhouse to watch.
Way to throw me under that bus. Are you sure that's it?
It was truly you.
Because
I remember for sure now, because I remember you saying, this site gave me a fucking virus, and I'm not using it anymore to watch this movie. I remember it.
That was not for Roadhouse. That was for Wonder Woman 89.
For that one too, but it was Roadhouse, where you were unable to watch the movie.
I don't think it was Roadhouse, because if that was the case, we would have just moved on. We wouldn't have taken a month-long break. So.
Well, yeah, that too. But I definitely I feel like there was something going on with you not being able to see it.
I don't think it was Roadhouse.
I watched it last year. I had prepared and I watched it, and then we never ended up doing it. And then so this year I was thinking like, wow, I feel like I just watched it. Like I remember a lot of things about it. But then when I started watching it again, I was like, yeah, I guess I don't remember as much as I truly thought I did, because it kind of came back to me. I actually, for some reason, I thought that what's her name? Kathleen Wilhoit had a bigger part than she did. I was almost I was thinking she was the love interest, but she really isn't. She's just the annoying lady waitress that works at the Roadhouse that is constantly ogling Patrick Swayze. So
very distinct voice on her, as we saw from Murphy's Law.
Apparently, too, if Kathleen Wilhoit is in a movie, the contract states she performs. She
has to sing. It's in the contract.
It's in the contract. She will not do the movie unless she can sing. Or is it the other way around? Is it, we don't want you in the movie unless you'll sing?
The world may never know.
No one knows. Only Kathleen Wilhoit knows. But,
so please tweet us, Kathleen Wilhoit.
Yeah, let us know. Let us see a snippet of your contract. Perhaps there's room for your performance on Blood and Black Rum Podcast. A special Kathleen Milloy episode.
This is our second one. We've already done Murphy's Law, which don't know how many people were going into the Bronson canon digging that one up.
I know, we did it specifically because it had just come out on Blu-ray, but it's
what a way to sell it. How did you do it? I got a free Blu-ray out of it from...
It wasn't because we were actively looking to do Murphy's Law. But we were actively looking to do Roadhouse, and, before last year I had never seen the movie, and you have seen it, but it's been a long time, right?
It's been like 15 years. I've only seen it the one time, so other than Swayze roundhouse kicks at a bar, a lot of it's escaped the mind.
And to be honest with you, we do the Patrick Swayze movies because the poor gentle soul, right? Just reminiscing about the man that he was and a life that was cut short after doing so much meditation and training. We just take a moment to pause and have a nice silent tribute to Patrick Swayze. And when I say that, I mean the Patrick Swayze from Donnie Darko, of course. I love Patrick Swayze. He does a really good job in every movie that I've seen him in. I'm not far down the rabbit hole of Patrick Swayze movies though. I've probably only seen like 4 or 5. With Donnie Darko's the big one, of course. Roadhouse. I've seen Dirty Dancing. What's this one? For one, I have not seen Ghost.
Wow.
No. Where Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg share a very romantic evening. Do I have that backwards? I think I might have that.
Point Break. Have you seen Point Break?
Nope, never seen Point Break. It's kind of interesting. I've skipped over a lot of Swayze movies. I'm trying to think
his filmography isn't really that big to begin with, because honestly, I've only ever seen The Outsiders, Red Dawn, Roadhouse, Ghost, and Point Break.
Yeah, he doesn't have a huge filmography, but Dirty Dancing, man. That's where it's at.
And Donnie Darko, sorry.
Of course, Donnie Darko. You can't forget that one.
Grew up then, outside of that and The Butterfly Effect, 2 most radical films of all time. About fucking time travel. And I can't wait. You know what? I can't wait for the day we finally do like Donnie Darko. Just be like, yeah. I'll forever be meh on that film. I don't care what anyone else says.
Well, you'd be wrong.
I'm not wrong.
I'm not saying it's the greatest movie of all time, but it is. I like it. It's a fun movie.
When have you ever seen a Jake Gyllenhaal film and walked away like, wow, what a great film?
Bubble Boy, of course.
That's not a Jake Gyllenhaal vehicle. That's a other people around him vehicle.
He's just in it. He just shows up.
He's just kind of there. Which, speaking of, Jake Gyllenhaal and tying into Roadhouse, the remake of Roadhouse is going to star Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's true, yeah. We're getting a Roadhouse remake. It's going to star Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's going to be great. He's going to be whispering the entire film. What's that, Dalton? I'd like you to leave.
Well,
my sister would really appreciate it if you left the bar, please. Yeah.
Well, Dalton's number one rule is to be nice, so that makes sense. Just be a nice, soft-spoken individual. Ask them to leave, please. And if they don't, then you go seek out someone else that will get them to leave. That would probably be what I would do. Like, this guy won't leave? Damn. Well, alright. Enjoy your night, then.
What's that? You're sexually harassing people in here? I can't do anything about it. I'm not strong enough. So.
I don't think I'll be enforcing this tonight. I think I'll just let it go. I'd be like the people that are looking on or like doing like the drug deals in the background of in this movie, where he, at the the very start of it when he's starting out the roadhouse, he's like kicking them all out. I'd be like that person that gets kicked out because like I haven't seen you enforce anything here. Like, yeah, no, I really don't. That's kind of like how I was as a salesperson too at Sears. Like, I haven't seen you try to sell anything. No. Yeah, I haven't. I really don't care if they buy or not.
That's why Sears went out of business, because by 2008, everyone was just returning in Craftsman products that their grandfather led them down.
Yeah, just a cyclical loop
just,
of bringing that broken one back and them handing out free new ones.
Sure, sir, this socket wrench is from 1958, you're 3/8. Yeah, well, you say it's a lifetime guarantee. All right, here's your new socket.
Make with the new socket, yeah.
But hey, when you want to sign up for the credit card, we got a credit card. I don't ever have to buy anything here because all my stuff's Craftsman. I'm just going to keep returning it, so... Oh, okay.
So back to Roadhouse, though. With Roadhouse, I remember saying this when I first watched it. It is a movie that really adheres to the male stereotype of like what you want in an action movie, because it truly does have all of it. It has, sweaty men fighting other men.
Mullets,
has barroom brawls that you're like envision yourself being a part of if you're that type of person. Like, yeah, I'd throw it to chair. I would do that.
Boobs, switchblade knives.
Yeah. It's got a hunting trophy room. It's got male
bonding. Friendship is the love, the top
Absolutely.
thing.
Men love men. That's okay.
Yes.
It's just like we saw in Bloodsport. It's cool to say I love you to another dude. It's all right.
The male friendship is more important.
That's right. It's got man buns, because Sam Elliott has some glorious shoulder length hair in this one. It's got you already said a lot of TNA. Not so much TNA in terms of actual nudity, but TNA in terms of just breasticles being presented to you. We can thank Julie Michaels for that, whose push-up bra has its own credit on IMDb. It's also got a lot of black coffee drinking, because that's Dalton's drink of choice when he's at the bar. They call it leaded or unleaded. It's like, leaded.
Oh, you want decaf? Unleaded.
It's funny.
Fill her up.
It's really got a lot. We missed, of course, explosions. It's got for no apparent reason, explosions crop up around the third act.
Guns.
Yep.
Keith David.
True, just showing up in the background, serving drinks. Keith David there.
You got to think about poor Keith David. Like, I'm a serious actor, and you just want me to be a bartender in 2 scenes? Yeah, Keith. That's all we need.
That'd be great.
Are you sure? I was just in They Live. I had a really great fight scene with Roddy Piper. Yeah, no, just be in the background, Keith.
Yeah. I know.
Which I almost think They Live kind of inspired this film in a way, because I'm pretty sure, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure half the reason Terry Funk's in this film because he's a wrestler, and so like they probably had Funk kind of choreographing a lot of the fights.
Could be,
because
Yeah, I don't know if he's listed as part of like the stunt team and stuff, but could be. All right, so that was a good intro to the movie, as though like you haven't seen it, and we're getting you ready. These are all the things that we're going to touch on.
It's a manly film.
That's right. That's right.
What's the film called?
It's called Roadhouse.
There you go. I was going to say, you got to say one of the few funny jokes in Family Guy. You got to say it like in Family Guy. Roadhouse.
You got to say it with emphasis. You can't. And to be honest with you, outside of the movie Roadhouse, I don't think I've ever used the phrase Roadhouse.
Well, that's because we're damn filthy Yankees up here.
That's right. We don't have these so-called roadhouses around here. Maybe if we were on the road, but not.
Putting our slickers on and our galoshes.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a break from talking about Roadhouse for a second, and we're gonna go into the beer that we have on the show today.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Oh, I got a lot of pop on your end. Yeah.
Well, we've already cracked one prior to this, so we're ready for the discussion. Should we be doing them like as a surprise, like when we crack into it right during the beer talk and we're like tasting it on command? Like,
I mean, we don't really have a process. We never have.
don't.
Sometimes we're lushes and we're on our third. Sometimes we're cracking it open for the first time. It all depends on what Ryne's doing before, because usually he's already gotten in.
I've already gotten into it when we get on the show.
You're the child who ruins the fucking Christmas by going into mom's closet and seeing everything that you got.
I cheat. Well, on the show today, we wanted to tie into the epic action of Roadhouse. It also has a wrestler in it. And so Martin picked up a beer that we've both been eyeing over the past few weeks, knew about it for a while. So,
I mean, I've known about it for years.
Yeah, our beverage center just recently got like another shipment of it. Kind of brought my attention back to it. It's El Segundo Brewing Company's Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA. And if you didn't know, El Segundo has worked with Steve Austin on a couple different beers, collaborations. They do a lager and they do the IPA. And we went with the IPA. So, I've got to say, I'm fairly disappointed with this brew.
What?
Yeah. It's not blowing me away.
What?
And I'll tell you why.
What? I'm doing the Steve Austin heel what?
No, I got it.
What?
You think that's what he'd say?
What? No, he'd probably get.
No, so I mean, the Broken Skull is a West Coast style IPA. On the surface, it should be pretty standard. It's got Citra, Cascade, Chinook hops in it, and it's got pale malt and a pretty standard West Coast IPA alcohol content at 6.7%. The weird thing about it is that on first taste, it really gives off a particularly odd flavor that's hard to pinpoint at first. But then, when Martin mentioned from an excerpt or something that he found,
it was like a little mini review.
Yeah, that someone had noted that there was a pith flavor, an orange pith flavor, that really got me to thinking that yes, this beer does have a distinctive pithy rind flavor to it that I wouldn't necessarily say is something I would be striving for in an IPA. What I think ends up happening with this beer is that you do initially get like an IPA hop kick to it, and then right on the tasting, you get a very strong orange pith flavor, like if you were to peel an orange and eat the stringy inside of it, or if you were to bite a little too far into your watermelon and you got the rind part. That's kind of what it tastes like to me. And I wouldn't say that it's awful, but it's certainly not as pleasant as I was expecting. And to me, that's kind of strange because I don't really know where this beer could go wrong like that, because it does have pretty standard hops to it. It doesn't seem like it's anything out of the ordinary, but it does have just that weird little taste to it that makes me second guess it. And it's not terrible, like I said, but it's definitely not a West Coast IPA that I would probably ever return to. It's not up to par with some of the better ones, and obviously like Sierra Nevada's output is what I would consider like the bog standard West Coast style IPA for the most part. And it's definitely not up to par like that, and it definitely leaves something to be desired. What do you think?
I agree. I finally just gave it a rating on Tapped because I've been mulling it over. It's, as you said when you cracked into it, and we both did when we cracked into it, the first thing you don't want to say when you crack into it is like, huh, this is weird. It definitely has like a nice piney, hoppy taste to it that you would get from your traditional West Coast IPA, where it's more, floral than it is citrusy. It's definitely got that, but it definitely has a weird, rindy, pithy taste, as you said, and not in a good way, where it's like, like when you get like, sometimes when you taste like a double West Coast IPA or something, like, oh, it's like got a little pithy, rindy taste to it that adds like a slight bitterness to it. This, and I think, kind of combining with like the can itself and the body of the beer itself, because overall, even though it's 6.7%, I would say this is kind of a very almost watery drink. It's very easy to drink, but it's also it's sessionable, and it has like a watery quality to it at the end. So you do get like a piney floral taste, nice little slight bready sweetness to it, like a traditional West Coast IPA, but with that pithiness, and then with that overall mouthfeel and body being kind of weak, and kind of like what you would expect if like Budweiser rolled out a IPA. I would say this is a below average West Coast IPA. And I don't know if it's because West Coast IPAs have kind of over the past 5 years been bastardized and forgotten about, and at least over here with all the NIPAs that we got, and like basically 70% of our beer reviews here now are different NIPAs. So I don't know if it's because truly we haven't really had like a West Coast IPA in forever. Like think of the last time like you've had like a Sierra Nevada Torpedo or something like that. It's been eons. So I don't know if it's just a change in our palates to the style overall, if this is just a bad batch, which this can was packaged in June, so it's not old at all. It's very underwhelming. And it's a shame because I love Stone Cold Steve Austin, part of my youth, watching wrestling on Monday and Thursday nights. I was hoping it'd be something to champion, and it's mediocre, and that's it. I'm hoping when we finally try out the lager, which I thought about grabbing, because that'd be kind of more tying into Burly Man Bar. See how that is, but I wanted to go with, as you call it, the bog standard, because that's what the original release was. It has been like the Broken Skull IPA, which has been out for quite some time now. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would probably give it like a 3.5 out of a 5. It's underwhelming. It's nothing I would go and tell my friends like, hey, you like West Coast IPAs or IPAs in general? Go try this. I'd probably say, it'd be a weary.
Yeah, I wouldn't even probably go with that high. It's definitely not on the top of my list.
I was gonna say, I think, because this goes by the quarters. I think I am probably being generous, but I think 3.25 is a little rough. It's like in between. Yeah. So
there you go. Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA. We're not huge fans on it. I would definitely give El Segundo another chance with that lager. See how it goes.
As Steve, what we should have done? We should have done what Stone Cold Steve Austin told Jake the Snake after he won the '96 King of the Ring. We should have bought ourselves a cheap bottle of Thunderbird and dig up some of that courage that we once had.
Very specific, very detailed.
Yeah, he told Jake that because he's an alcoholic, and his gimmick at the time was he had gone born again Christian, but in real life he was an alcoholic. After he beats Jake for the King of the Ring, he's told him get his sorry ass out of the ring, and he should have gone and bought himself a cheap bottle of Thunderbird and dig up the courage he once had. That's I've been trying to get a bottle of Thunderbird forever. They don't sell it around here. It's wine. It's like malt liquor wine.
Oh. You don't even like wine.
I know, but it'd be an experience. Just like drinking Colt 45. I don't like malt liquor, but if Billy D. Williams says drink fucking Colt 45, well, yes, Lando.
You're doing it. Yes.
I'm gonna go try it.
All right, so on to Roadhouse.
Roadhouse
is an interesting movie all around. It definitely takes a unique approach to its story. I can't really think of another film that particularly takes a deep dive into the world of dive bars and its bouncers and coolers. And I actually have never really heard the term cooler as described in Roadhouse before.
Hey, cooler.
When I think of
like watching Dragon Ball there.
when I think of when they say something like the best cooler, I'm thinking, like the Arctic.
The new Yeti.
Yeah, the Yeti or the Arctic, whatever they call them, Frigidaire's coolers.
It's not your mom's igloo cooler that barely kept your sandwiches cool as you're going out to lunch at the Great Escape because Lord knows you're not paying for food there, so you went out to the parking lot to eat your bologna and cheese sandwiches.
That's right. It's a good specific detail from the past that brings me back. Sure. Chicken chalet? No way. Fucking $15 for a kid's
for a funnel cake.
5-piece chicken tender meal? No, thank you. We brought meat. We brought pimento loaf in the cooler outside that's been baking in the hot sun.
I was gonna say you go back and you got bologna and Kraft on white Wonder Bread. Mom forgot to put mayonnaise on it, so it's gonna be tacky as shit.
The bread is just kind of disintegrated in the condensation from the bag. Oh yeah, those were the days.
I know it's okay. So we have a traditional '80s trope of take a job that somebody's known for in the film, and then it's not just a job; they're the best.
Right.
So Rambo, in First Blood, John Rambo, he's one of the best soldiers out there. Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's one of the best soldiers out there.
Yep.
Roadhouse.
Cop dramas too.
Yeah, or
best detective. Call it the best detective.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon. They're the best detectives around. Roadhouse, he's the best goddamn guy. I said, I think you've had enough to drink, buddy. Get out of here.
That's right. It takes like a really mundane sounding job. Like, I'm the guy that kicks people out when they get a little too uppity in the bar. And for most people thinking about, a bar probably around them, it's like, oh, that dude was too loud or like hit the jukebox and so he got thrown out. It's not like the eventful drama that ensues in Roadhouse where and not only that, but I can't envision a time where some sort of storyline like this would even occur where, first of all, a guy is obsessed with buying up a roadhouse to try to make it into like some sort of like elevated haute couture roadhouse, like dive bar. I'm not even really sure what what's that guy's name? Tillman. I'm not even sure what Tillman's true design for this dive bar is. I mean, it's clear that he spent some time and he's bought it up as like an investment, and he may not have really understood when he bought it like what he was getting into.
He just comes out and he's like, he just gives the look like disappointment and not sure what to do about it either. And that's why he kind of looks towards Dalton, Patrick Swayze's character, to set things in line at this roadhouse.
First off, the film opens up at a bar, well, club, I should say. And the film tries to tell us that it's in New York. It looks like fucking California. We're like, where in New York City is that like club at? Where they have all this room to roam and, you know, all these people showing up, and you got Canada's Greatest Patio Lanterns band playing.
And I love the fact, too, that...
the Jeff Healey band, you know.
Like, Dalton has such a reputation that fucking Tillman comes all the way from Missouri to recruit him.
It's so... Because, again, it's so fucking stupid. Like, the idea, like, you're the best goddamn cooler around.
Can you imagine that now? Like, just like forums, cooler forums, and like people going around online saying like, "You heard about this best guy?"
I'm sure on Reddit somewhere, 4chan, just like
the bouncers Reddit subreddit.
Yeah.
You know, and the film also makes it clear too. Dalton is not a bouncer. He's not. He is specifically a cooler, which is a variation on the job. It's like the higher up bouncer. It's the guy who tells the bouncers what to do.
He's the captain of the bouncers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he's not just gonna be the one that kicks you out. He's the people, and actually it happens in the movie. The bouncers look over to him, and he gives the click with the finger guns. Like, yep, get that fucker out of here. Or the hey, cool it. We're all good. We're all
having fun.
Yep.
Having fun.
Yeah, but it is like the entire premise of Roadhouse is really ridiculous. It doesn't really feel like a realistic idea. Like, who in their right mind, like with Dalton, is just like, yep, up and moving to Missouri, heading out.
Not only that, like yeah, I'm like 28 years old. I've been stabbed 3 times, been shot once, broken several bones. Like, every night he's like getting in a fucking fist fight.
What?
Like,
you know what too though is like when he goes to the doctor in this one, that you would think with the doctor, looking at him and be like, actually, you know what? When you came in, we thought we just did the X-rays, hadn't seen you before. We thought you were a 70-year-old arthritic man.
Or today, like, sir, you had the brain of an 80-year-old Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
you have CTE. Like, have you played football? Like, oh no, you've just been taking fucking glass, bottles to the head every night. Oh,
yeah,
for the past 5 years. Oh, yeah.
Too, and Roadhouse really brings out the worst in people. It's like, no, like, people don't just get into like regular barroom fights, that are kind of like Everybody's got a fucking switchblade. Yeah,
in this
they
movie.
got switchblades. Like, everybody goes right to the, like, I'm gonna smash my fucking bottle over your head. Possibly get a tacked on murder charge for this because I just decided.
The biggest bullshit part of this film is like, where are the fucking cops? Are they? I mean, I know it's the 80s, so like
they come around and they say, hey, buddy, you drinking and driving? Okay, just drive safe now, okay?
Well, we'll take you home. We'll make sure you get home.
We'll ask.
Deputy Brown here is going to follow you. Make sure you get to the right home.
Yeah.
Don't want you getting in someone else's bed, like doing a little elbow jabs, like. Even still, I mean, I get it. Back in the day, you could get in a scrap and it'd be like, all right, just men sorting out their issues. But the level of violence is like, at a point where somebody would be like, I think I got to file a report on this, Captain.
Well, they do mention that the cops are paid off, but the cops can't be paid off that much to the point where they're just blatantly ignoring like murderous fights that are happening at this roadhouse. It wouldn't even make sense. Like, they're all of a sudden, like, this town has just like 30 people dying every 2 months or something like that from this one place.
This guy's thousandaire. It's kind of like The Million Ways to Die in the West. Like, he's got $1 whole. I've never seen $1 before.
Yeah, and that's where the film really kind of jumps off and is like, this is getting really ridiculous. Because when it introduces Brad Wesley as the guy in town, in this Missouri town, who is the richest dude around, and he's basically created a protection racket where he goes around collecting money from all of the shops in the area, including the Roadhouse. He has a take on the alcohol, and he basically runs the town with his thugs. That's where it gets a little ridiculous, because it's like, how is he making so much money off this town from this like really small town?
Well, he's not making that much, because the fucking fancy sports car that he's bougieing around is like a fucking Ford Focus.
No, I know. But
when he's driving around like like an asshole, swerving around lane from lane,
singing his doo-wop.
Yeah, it's not. It's. I think it's a Mustang. But I mean, like a 1988 Mustang ain't nothing to fucking be bragging about. Thing's got like 120 horsepower.
I mean, the film does treat him like he's some rich bastard, though. Like, it does have a contempt for him that I think is pretty palpable that comes off throughout the movie. And that's even before we know, like, all the skimming that he's doing and stuff like that. It's just, like, the way that he shows up, like, again, driving down the street, just swerving in and out of the lanes, or he's got his, like, little ascot on. Just those types of things are hilariously blatant. Like, this is a fucking rich asshole. It's a very stereotypical 80s villain guy. You know that right away.
Yeah, it's an 87 Mustang. That was close. Wow. Yeah. He's the 1980s version of the guy from fucking, why am I drawing a blank, from Great Gatsby, just fucking having cocaine parties on the river.
Yeah, having a huge orgy fest over in his estate outside by the creek or whatever they have there. That Patrick Swayze is forced to just look on upon and be like, wow, what a party.
It's West Egg. Jay Gatsby over there fucking.
Yeah. And so that like the when we're introduced to Brad Wesley, and when Patrick Swayze's character Dalton is going in and kicking out everybody that's been, causing a ruckus in the Roadhouse. He's kicking out guys left and right as he starts his first night. It's like, yeah, I saw you were swiping from the till. I saw you were dealing drugs. I saw you just weren't doing anything at all.
Poor Terry Funk. Terry Funk didn't do anything. He actually gorilla pressed a man in that fight.
Yeah, and
so
he was
you
just
know
like,
what?
and I think at one point he just yells, "Fight!" too, and like chairs get tossed and stuff. He's just in the middle, fight. But yeah, no, he really didn't do too much. Patrick Swayze just says, "You don't have the
temperament.
The temperament for it." That's right. Yeah. I don't know.
Because when you think of bouncers, you think of these Tai Chi masters who sit and meditate all day.
Like Dalton. There's that one scene where he's out by the water and he's just like meditating. He's like doing his little breathing exercises, chi signaling. And then
as I say, it didn't work for him because he wasn't on the tallest building in the area.
That's right. Yeah, that's why the training just,
failed.
Yeah. The other thing that I like too about this movie is like you said, Dalton is the best, and the film keeps bringing up that fact like everywhere you turn. Like everyone's like, is that Dalton?
Well, when he shows up to the fucking bar, they're like, "Who's this asshole?" And they're like, "That's Dalton." And they're like, oh, "Dalton." Like, it's 1988. Like, there's no internet. You're still using.
How is this rural Missouri town getting news of Dalton in New York City, and who's spreading it? Who's going around with the bouncer press going like?
Is there like a 1980s like bar mag like
yes
bouncer of the week
right
and every week
the local paper is the bouncer press. You
see
there's a zine out there.
I say you see every week there's like Bouncer Observer. All right, Dave Meltzer from Wrestling Observer, second job. What's he writing up? Top bouncer of the month. Who's the top bouncer of the month? Well, it's Jake Dalton again.
It's always Dalton
because he's number one. Because he's a cooler.
And you know what? What kind of shit? So that's the thing too, though. If Dalton's been working at this place and he's just legendary for being the best cooler, then why do people know about him? People shouldn't know about him if he's a good cooler, right? Because if he's a good cooler, he's keeping it low key. The bar doesn't have any issues because he's stopping them before they start. Like,
you just don't get it.
I guess
it's
I
all
don't.
It's all the people he politely tapped on the shoulder and said, "You gotta get out of here." That went okay, and told him like, "Why are you leaving, man?" "Yeah, man, he just said you better get out of here." And I said, "Yeah, because he could probably kick my ass." So I just went.
No, they said, "Hey, you look small."
Like if he was the best, there would never be Roadhouse. There would never be a bar that he's at where he's got to throw fucking roundhouses.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. There would never be a time where he would get to be legendary, because if he was truly the best, no one would hear about anything that happened because he would have kept it contained.
Listen, if this is truly an 80s film, instead of throwing roundhouses, it's like, I think you should leave. Oh, yeah? And the guy pulls out a knife, and then he pulls out a gun and just shoots him. Like, what?
Be polite until...
I'm just defending myself.
Yeah. Be polite until you can't be polite anymore, then pull out your gun. No, but
actually, I say maybe this film's based on Scott Hall, because the wrestler Scott Hall, he actually killed somebody in the 80s when he was a bouncer in Miami. He got into a fight and I think ended up shooting someone. Didn't get convicted because it was for self-defense. But
and this
maybe this film's based on.
Maybe it did inspire, but Dalton actually does like a tiger punch ripping a man's throat out, so it's not really the same, is it?
That's a dim mock.
Yeah, that's right. It's the dim mock.
We learned from the last film. Come on, dim mock.
But I also really like too that his name is Dalton, because it's not like his name is like Craig, or like if you showed up at the Roadhouse and you're like, who's this guy?
Tim.
Like, hey, I'm Craig.
Or like, what's your name? My name's Tim. Or like, what's your name? Donald.
Yeah, right. Right, like that's just not as imposing as when you get the very cool Dalton. It's a very hard consonant word, Dalton.
Not like that. You have Kathleen
Will Hoyt.
Will Hoyt fucking screeching, "That's Dalton!
Oh my God, it's Dalton! If I can do anything for..." And then there is a great scene too when she comes to his apartment and she's got breakfast and he like gets out of the bed with his ass hanging out and she just like gives a smoldering stare like, oh my God.
Right from the playbook of Bloodsport. Maybe it was. I would say I think it was the late '80s where they really started. Like, if you were a hot man, there's got to be a scene
like,
with
we
your
need your steamy ass.
We need your bare ass out, So, because in Bloodsport, Van Damme pops out of bed after having sex with a woman that he doesn't care about because it's not his man.
I do often wonder too, like, is male ass that attractive? Because you need really think about it. It's like, this dude's really sweaty. Probably, when I get up from my 8-hour sleep, my ass crack is super sweaty. My ass, most men's ass cracks are pretty hairy, mine included. And
you'll have that. I'll say you'll have to ask your wife, what's so attractive about man ass? Because there's nothing really attractive about man ass. It's usually flat, hairy, sweaty,
and possibly remnants remaining. I don't know. I just don't see the appeal. I mean, he definitely has a nice, it looks like if you cracked a ruler, or, I mean, if you hit him with a ruler, you'd crack it right over. But,
You'll have to ask your wife about that. Like, what's attractive about man ass? There's nothing attractive.
Just once, I want to have them, get out of bed, they're bare-assed, and they're, being ogled about it, and they turn around and be like, yeah, I just shit. Something like that. I just had a particularly dirty shit.
Listen,
sorry, is there still toilet paper back there?
Listen, we went to Applebee's for our 5-year anniversary, and I had the taco platter. And,
I actually
that's also getting to me in my old age. So
we ordered the 2 for $25 shrimp meal, and I ate both of them, and woof. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking when But yeah, anyway, I mean, props to Patrick Swayze. He does look really ripped in this movie. Like a nice, not like a like a. Well, it's overdone,
Ridiculous.
but yeah, it's just like very physique. Like every muscle is very
Toned.
rippling and toned. Yeah,
And I say we get to see too, which is a nice part about the film, is that he's not like invincible. We see him several times,
Yep.
actually getting stabbed, and having to recuperate from his wounds. It's not like the knife hits him and it bounces off and he looks at him.
Wouldn't that be something if like he went to go stab and he's like, no, my abs.
Or his ass, it hits him in the ass crack and he just like...
I've conditioned my abs. They're
Yes.
so strong that I don't even feel the knife anymore.
Well, I mean, yeah, so that is a nice touch. But I mean, Swayze definitely does look great. And I mean, I hate the scenes where he's running around in his like fucking those late '80s like bloomer pants, of a businessman.
I also
when
like,
when he's running around in like his tight jeans and his boots, it's like, yeah, that's the Swayze that I want to be around, not the one in his like yachting pants.
I also like when he's wearing like the just very close to turtleneck short sleeve shirts. You notice those? Like he has that one black one that he's wearing. It's almost like a Dickies, like a Dickies undershirt.
Up.
Yeah, and it's like on the cusp of being a turtleneck, but also short sleeve. And when you're big like Patrick Swayze, like you're gonna have like a thicker neck too. So you really got to be careful with your turtlenecks. Rip them right out with the neck.
Well, he's not big. That's why they constantly tell him.
Big.
That's why they constantly say, "I thought you'd be bigger." Maybe they should have Van Damme in this film, because Van Damme is also known for being, short. So they should have had Van Damme parading around in this film.
Probably.
I thought you'd be bigger. Well, fuck you! I thought I'd be big.
Right. I know. Yeah, and go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, eventually, throughout the course of the movie, as Dalton is assaulted and finally finds out that he messed with Brad Wesley, and Brad Wesley's gonna make his life in the Roadhouse's life miserable in town. Eventually, Sam Elliott shows up as Wade Garrett, who's
fucking
Dalton's,
hour and 5 in.
Yeah, Dalton's trainer, and apparently in the film's eyes, at this point, an old man. Sam Elliott, I would consider now is an old man. I don't know about in 1989.
He would have been 45.
Right, so he's not super old, although he does have the kind of the look of like the sagey older man that I think they were going for here. Is like he's been the mentor, the trainer,
Sam Elliott looks like he just got off a fucking bender and somebody's like, "Hey Sam, you want to be in a film?" "Oh yeah, I got one more course to drink. Hold on."
He does. I mean, he does have some fine shoulder length hair, though. I do, I'm envious that I cannot pull that off. 'Cause, yeah, it's nice. I like it. It's like, and he's got the right amount of like salt and pepper to it as well.
His facial hair is always the more important.
On Blood and Black Rum Podcast, we're not afraid to compliment men.
No, not at all.
Absolutely not.
Sam Elliott is a handsome man. He's
He may have some questionable values, but he is a handsome man. I love that one point at where they go out and like they were drinking after the end of the night, and then they go to like a diner and have some more beers there, and
homemade cooking, so it's a good diner.
Oh yeah, Sam Elliott dances with Kelly Lynch, who's Dalton's new beau, and he's like, "I want you for myself." It's getting real close there. It's like putting the moves on, and it's kind of a joke, but also like I'm kind of not joking. Like I wish that you would just fall for me instead. Found it a little creepy.
Sam Elliott's Wikipedia says Elliott is known for his distinctive lanky physique, full mustache, and a deep, sonorous, resonant voice. Who busted out that word?
Sonorous.
I mispronounced it.
He does though, and when after he shows up, I think the film gets pretty fun because it gives Dalton someone else to talk to besides Doc, which is like the love interest and one that you know is coming in this movie. Like, of course, an 80s movie, action movie is going to have a love interest. It's pretty much iconic.
I think the film would have been better off if we got more talk with the auto shopkeeper and the farmhand, because they have nice, nice interactions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. I like Red Webster quite a bit, actually, and I think, the film probably would have done a little bit better if it had stuck with him a little bit longer to show like just how pestered he has been by Brad Wesley, because I think like we get a little bit of that, but I would have preferred to have seen a little bit more before the end of the film where a giant monster truck drives over like a car park. I think we needed a little bit more to really cement the fact that like all of the townspeople have been just completely disrupted by Brad Wesley's racket that he's got going on.
Especially because the film does take itself kind of like seriously.
Oh yeah,
for a good chunk of the time. And I think if you kind of kept it close to the vest like that, it'd be a more interesting film. Getting to see those interactions and actually be in a more reasonable light. Like if you wanted to make the film more, more serious and told that, that's what you would do. You wouldn't have, him become cartoony at the end, and what he does at the end become incredibly fucking ridiculous and cartoony.
Oh yeah.
So I think, and I think they do a really good job, Red Webster and, the farmhand and some of the other townspeople, like the interactions, I think would have been nice to kind of see a little bit more, because that first 30 minutes we get a lot of, like, I kind of enjoy seeing, the Double Deuce, which we haven't talked about yet. The Double Deuce as an actual roadhouse, a rundown, shitty-looking bar with the same goddamn band playing every fucking night in a cage because everyone's rowdy, throwing their beers, getting into fights. It's awesome. And I like that setting a lot. And it's really cool. I don't know how, again, because we didn't grow up in like the 70s and 80s. So I don't know how, if it was actually just in film, or if it was an actual thing where you'd have like the band playing in a caged area so they wouldn't get hit by beer bottles. Because when that scene comes to mind, I think the first thing I think of is Blues Brothers, where they're fucking in the, playing, and they're playing some blues songs, and everyone in the bar's pissed off, and they're just whipping fucking beer bottles at them until they start playing Rawhide.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that was a thing or not, but it's a really cool aesthetic. Really nice, even if it is, as you said, cartoony and ridiculous, that like every little thing, everyone's getting pissed off, whipping out switchblades, and like ready to go down for a murder charge over nothing, And the one guy, remember the one guy who was like, "Hey, you want to kiss my wife's titties?"
Yeah.
And the guy's
$20, you could kiss her titties.
Titties, and he's like, "Sure." And like the guy's like 60 years old, and his wife's like 20 years old, and the guy's like sitting there. And I'm kind of surprised that a film, especially 1989, got away with a guy literally sitting there for a good 30 seconds just fondling these titties. And he's like, "Well, you gonna kiss him?" And he's like, "I ain't got $20. And then a fight breaks out. It's funny and ridiculous, but, totally random.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's,
it's hilarious. And that, like...
Which...
That's pretty much all of what happens in Roadhouse, especially because if you think about, like, going to a bar, I've never been in a situation where I would, like, at the bar where I was just like, I've got to get in a fight right now. Like, what kind of temperament do you have going to these roadhouses where you're just like you said, ready to head for a murder charge at the drop of a hat because somebody came up to you and said, "Hey, I don't like your hat." It's just kind of it's ridiculous to think about that from the perspective of the film, because I've never really lived it. But perhaps in the 80s there was that element of people just being totally rowdy at the bars and ready to let out their frustrations. But I've never seen it before. But
so you mean to tell me if you took your wife to the grill, you wouldn't say, "Hey, for $20 you can kiss her titties"?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think about the fact that at the Double Deuce, literally the same band that, plays every single night at that place, Jeff Healey's band.
Blind Willie McTell, which they got them all. We get to see Jeff Healey in his glory, his Canadian glory in the beginning at the New York bar, looking like an 80s god. And here he's Blind Willie McTell, playing a slide guitar, basically, which wouldn't make the noise that he's even playing, but still,
Well, that is how Jeff Healey played. He was blind.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, yep.
Wasn't that Jeff Healey in the beginning of the movie?
No.
Oh, I thought that was.
No, you're thinking of a different band, and that's the band that plays the Don't Throw Stones, right?
Yeah, I thought that was
Don't Throw Stones! Man, and that song goes on way too long at the beginning of the movie, and it really is annoying, to be honest with you. Like, how long they just keep playing Don't Throw Stones.
Well, I will say, the music's fine up until, a point. Because it, gets really repetitive and annoying. It's like a stereotypical bar. Like, hey, we're here, we're going to play we're Skeeter Creek, and we're going to play all your favorite songs. And then, you're hearing fucking Roadhouse Blues over and over again. I would go insane.
Yeah, no, Jeff Healey truly was blind. He really did play the guitar like that. He lost his eyesight to a rare form of eye cancer. But he really, truly did have a band, and he really did play blind. And I actually think, he's pretty cool in this movie. I like how they used him, and they didn't really focus on his disability as much as they were just like, yeah, he plays in a rough bar, And I like that. They don't really draw attention to it, but they really gave him the opportunity to just basically play himself, even though he's technically, not Jeff Healey in the movie.
Well, I feel bad now because I thought Jeff Healey was the guy in the beginning.
Oh no, you were like, he's playing blind Willie, but he's not blind. No, he truly is blind. Or was blind. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I literally thought it was the guy at the beginning of the movie because again, the title credits have music from the Jeff Healey band.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when we saw New Year's Evil where they're like music from, So I was kind of thinking, So I apologize, Jeff Healey.
Well, he's dead, but
yeah, well, I know, but it was good, but it got annoying. If even they had George Thorogood in here, it'd be like all right, because at some point you hit that level of I don't know how people take it, but of 80s rock blues, your fucking Stevie Ray Vaughan or fucking Steve Vai, and it just hits an annoyance threshold. It's good, but at the same time, I don't need to hear "She's my sweet little thing, hear my pride and joy" for 3 hours straight. It drives me insane.
Yeah, Well, we haven't talked about the various explosions that occur towards the end of the movie because as Dalton continues to clean up the Double Deuce and as Brad Wesley continues to get a little bit more and more
sinister.
Right. He's really trying to drive Dalton out of the town because he knows that if he doesn't, there is the potential that he could kind of ruin the things that he's got going on in town because he's really the kingpin and he's basically running things. But Dalton is kind of putting a little doorstop in that, and so he begins to design some illegal activities, including blowing up Red's garage, which is where Dalton gets all of his spare parts because everybody keeps slashing his tires and breaking his windshield and stuff like that. It's actually kind of funny that he's actually prepared for it too, because he buys a junker car and then grabs bald tires from a tire store just to be prepared for this stuff. But so they blow up Red's garage and they blow up the Emmett, who is Patrick Swayze's landlord. They blow up his house while he's in his little feety pajamas, and the film really goes all out on the explosions. And it's not just they are filming one quick explosion either. It's like there's like 4 explosions within the explosion. They really wanted to get their bang for their buck here.
Oh, they're very beefy.
Oh yeah, there's like, because it's just like, you get an explosion, it's like, but then they've set it up so there's like 3 more explosions after that. It's great. It's like, what more can you ask for? But really big explosions. But to be honest with you, again, the idea that Brad Wesley is going to go to this extent is kind of ridiculous. It's kind of crazy, I guess I would say. Not ridiculous. I mean, I guess I can see people doing this, but it's kind of crazy. And then I like, too, that Dalton's girlfriend, who is, Doc, she is like, oh, isn't this... Who's crazier, you or him? It's like, no, that fucking guy's crazy. Like, he's blowing up fucking people's houses around town. He's shipping in, crates of dynamite. That guy's crazy. I love it. But do you think that Roadhouse kind of goes off the rails in its last act?
Oh, the last act, it totally goes off the rails, because it goes from friendly, barroom fighter to all of a sudden guns, death, maiming, killing
people,
explosions, and it's like, holy shit.
Dalton rips that dude's throat right out.
I mean, it's fun, but at the same time, it's like, holy shit, this wasn't like, the first 80% of this film, and all of a sudden, like, we've gone way off the fucking tracks here.
It kind of gets way too serious, like, for its own good, I think, in some capacity, because I feel like the film is, even though people are fighting, even though they're getting hurt, it does have, like, this sort of, like, guys are guys, and they do this sort of shit all the time, and like, they fight with each other, but it's just fisticuffs, right? But then at a certain point, it's just like, no, actually, they have guns everywhere, and actually, all of these guys have shotguns, and they're looking to kill Dalton, not just run him out of town.
Dalton comes like Death Wish style, like, storming the barricade, and the car gets shot up and fucking explodes like 7 times as it lands. It's just like,
Brad Wesley becomes Two-Face. He's like flipping a coin, like, who's gonna live, who's gonna die? It's gonna be heads or tails. He dies for no reason. Sam Elliott.
Yeah, Wade Garrett gets stabbed. How did he not know someone was creeping up behind him?
I don't know. He had a bad gimpy knee. That's probably what happened. He had already gotten kicked in it before. Like
the fucking dumbest thing ever. Because Wade's supposed to be technically the best.
He's supposed to be the best, but he's just getting old. And then Dalton's like second runner up because he's he's been mentored by Garrett.
But yeah, you got he sneaks up and gets stabbed in the back with a note on the back,
it was tails.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that it really runs off the rails at the end. I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad. I think that it does an okay job, and it really is a film that's like out for vengeance. I do like that Doc is totally against Patrick Swayze killing people. Of course, I mean, if you see someone rips another guy's throat out, you're going to be a little bit concerned for your safety, as that guy. I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with him.
I don't know. The way she ran home, I think she was kind of wet. So I mean,
Jesus. Yeah, but I do
especially after the end, the way the film ends. I think
that's what I was going for. I think that it's funny that she sees this guy. She sees Dalton rip another guy's throat out, and then at the end she's like, actually, you know what, I forgive you. And there's no real resolution to it either. It's not like Dalton was like, I'm sorry I killed that guy. It's just like, I did what I did, and
not only that, because you had earlier when Red's fucking Valvoline shop goes tits up in a fiery explosion, and it's great because you think maybe he's dead. No, he comes rolling up in his tow truck son of a bitch, it happened again. And then everyone in town's as he's packing his bag, don't go. And he's like, why? My fucking shop's been blown up. And they're like, well, you got insurance, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, he's like, I can't go to the cops. they're in his pocket. And, you know, because the cops can overlook something like that.
I know.
And then the fucking Ford dealer, he didn't even do anything. He didn't do anything.
No, he was really just there. He was just like talking about it. Yeah.
Just talking about it, and then fucking Wesley has his goons show up with with Bigfoot and just drive through his dealership in broad daylight with like 700 people there, and they're like, that'll learn you. Can't do anything about that, can you? It's like, sure I can. Call the state police, you son of a bitch. Like, who's, like, out of this, you don't think anyone out of the 700 people are going to be like, oh yeah, that guy drew fucking Bigfoot through here.
I like at the end, too, that we get to the end, there's that whole showdown between Dalton and Brad Wesley in his house, and he's, like, in his hunting area. And then all of like the 5 main shopkeepers that have been pestered by Brad Wesley for so long, they come out of nowhere. They have shotguns and they just blow Brad Wesley away. Like they just, you know, I think there's like 4 or 5 shots to Brad Wesley, blows him into like a glass table.
Let's say God bless Brad Wesley. He takes those shotgun blasts like a champ.
Yeah.
Like he ain't going down without a fight. You know. The film almost makes you think like that. Maybe the doc's gonna like, you know, save Patrick at the end, like with like, you know, and blast him. But no, but the town just shows up and like, you know, goes posse on his ass.
My favorite part at the end, though, is that after that all happens, they get rid of the guns and the police are coming in and they're like, what happened? What happened? And they're like, I don't know. Didn't see it. Everyone's just laughing off like, we committed murder. We're going to get away with it. No one's going to look into this at all.
And the fat guy that's part of Wesley's crew is like a polar bear fell on me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's just at that point, again, it like turns into like this like kind of, you know, semi-serious movie again. It's just like, yeah, we just killed a guy. But you know what? It's all right. He was a dickbag anyway.
Which is great too, because like it makes it act like that's the only investigation. The sheriff and his deputy show up. Like, what's going on here? I didn't see anything. Did you see anything?
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. Did you see anything? I didn't see anything. Did you see anything? All right, boys.
Pack it in. That was the investigation right there.
We interviewed right there.
Did the due diligence.
And the guy that apparently we have, you know, we're in his back pocket. Yeah, you know. Good job.
It's hilarious. It's like, and then you're just supposed to take, like, it just ends is like, yep, that's it. That's what happened. Everybody got away with it. No problem.
And then Patrick Swayze gets to have sex with the doctor in the lake.
Yeah, speaking of Doc, so the Doc shows up and I feel like she does a complete transformation. She's the Doc that treats Patrick Swayze in the emergency room, and she has her hair up in a bun and she has glasses on. And then you see her later on when they're actually dating, and she's got her hair down, no glasses. Which Doc do you prefer?
Glasses and hair up.
That's interesting. I would say that too.
It's supposed to be bitchy, but it's not.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like I'm
tight.
I'm all business.
Tightly
I
wound.
don't have time for a kung fu fighting, boyfriend.
But that's not even the important part. The important part is Swayze's mullet.
Yeah.
That's where, you're like, ooh la la.
And not only that, but Swayze gets like excessively sweaty towards the end of the movie too. So if
not only that, this film is, when they have their one night stand, you get Swayze ass.
That is true. That is true.
You get it all. Like,
Swayze gives so I can understand though why women would have been attracted to Swayze at this point, because he picks her up and he basically thrusts her against the stony fireplace, which R.I.P. her back, right? Because probably at that time,
I say one wrong hit to the
right
lower lumbar, and just like,
but anyway,
then you're like me, bad back forever.
But anyway, like I can see it, because like as he's doing that, the thrusts are like he's doing it in like a rhythmical, like circular pattern. Like, okay, all right, he's got game. He knows how to use it. He's not just You're not spelling out your name?
No, that's what you're supposed to do. Spell your name out.
That's right. Yeah, just write it in thrusting. That's right. So I was impressed by that. I was like, wow, he's really, that's really method acting right there. That's right there. You're like, that's Swayze in the bedroom. That's not just Dalton. That's Swayze in the bedroom. It's great. So what a passionate sex scene.
So what did you think of like the double deuce going from shithole to ritzy Hollywood bar and outside of Kansas City?
Well, I mean, again, I question what is the intent. What kind of clientele are they looking for here?
Because it's been like this, like again, it's a small town outside of Kansas City. So it's the same clientele every fucking night. And then it goes from dive bar to like, hey, everyone's showing up like it's fucking Grease, and like, everyone's playing,
Everyone's just dancing around like, ooh, we're
playing
having a fun time.
like everyone's playing Tutti Frutti.
I know.
And like the bar, it got the neon lights and the big, he's sitting there with a fucking like counter, like 120. I got to make sure we are up to fire code. I don't want the that would have been great. Like the fire, the fire team showing up, like, all right, yeah, too many people in here.
Yeah, I mean,
shut it down.
And the thing too is like with the clientele, you would think at a certain point, the original people that went to this bar in the first place, they wouldn't want to go back. So you're not really going to get a lot of the locals to come back because the reason that they went in the first place is because it was a dive bar. So like sprucing it up is not really always the best business prospect because you're going to miss out on all the business that you used to have because they're not going to want to come back to like a ritzy, I've got a $15 cocktail.
Not only that, like who is going to like a bar outside of Kansas City in like a nice cocktail dress and dancing the night away?
Right, because we've seen like it's like a dusty ass,
Dust Bowl
place right there, and they're like going in their nice attire.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have my wedding party here.
I'm gonna have my wedding party here as Jeff Healey sits and sings "Pride and Joy" over and over again for. Yeah. Keith David's like, we're out of whiskey. Thanks, Keith. Why are you here?
Yeah, poor Keith David doesn't get much to do at all.
You know what we didn't talk about yet?
What's that?
The one-liners.
The one-liners are prevalent and all over the place. It's not a well-written movie, I would say.
They're bad, but they're great.
Yeah, it's kind of like so bad it's good. Because they are very, they really stand out. Like the one that really stood out for me is when Patrick Swayze and the one guy they're fighting by the water, and he's like, "I used to fuck guys like you in prison." It's like comes out of nowhere. It's like a very, like I don't know. To me, it just was like, "Whoa, that is not the movie that we were watching."
No, it is, because in the beginning when he had the whole, like, be cool, I'm going to call you a cocksucker. I take offense to that. Well, don't, because it's just cock and suck, and that's two nouns together. Doesn't mean anything. Be cool. Well, your mother's a whore. Well, you shouldn't take offense to that.
Yeah, he's like, is she?
Yeah. Or I like the whole, when we get to see Sam Elliott, and he's hanging out with Doc, and he's like, she's got too much ass for that kind of brains. or when he's like, when they're like, come on, dickless, and he's like, I'm not going to show you my dick.
Yeah, like that one doesn't even make any sense at all, but it's great. It's
just so fucking stupid. Like, it's like the ultimate, like, I know what you are, but what am I?
Yeah. Yeah, or here's another one too. Like IMDb has a lot of good quotes, but here's another one where the guy Jimmy, the same guy that he was fighting before, and this is in the bar scene. He's like, "Prepare to die." Dalton's just like, "You are such an asshole." It's just so stupid, but it's great. Like all of these things really make you just laugh a lot.
They're great.
Amazing.
The one-liners are awesome in this film.
Awesomely bad.
Just really bad, but hilarious and fun.
Here's another one that's early on in the movie that when Tillman's recruiting Dalton, he's like, "I got your plane ticket right here." Dalton's like, "I don't fly. Too dangerous." Instead, I'm going to drive cross country to Missouri.
What'd you think of the action? This is the action film.
Yeah, the action is pretty good, actually. I really don't have any issues with it. I think the choreography is really good. The The actual like kickboxing and fighting is done well, and I think that for the most part it's done in a realistic sense. Once Jimmy comes in and he's got like his fucking pool stick, and he does like his whole like, you know, show-offy pool stick maneuver, a little bit ridiculous there, but I think that the action is pretty good. Even the explosions too are really good. They're done really well. I think that in the scope of the film they kind of go off the rails, but the explosions are done well. Also, we haven't really spoken too much about this, but you know who's the director of photography on this movie?
Who's that?
Dean Cundy, who also did Halloween, some other John Carpenter movies.
Can you imagine John Carpenter's Roadhouse?
No. No, I cannot. I mean, I feel like it would be equivalent to something like They Live, but, you know, obviously, like, cutting out some of the more science fiction elements. But I feel like, you know what, actually, I probably could see it. Like, I think it could be a cross between They Live and
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could probably do it. I think it might be a weird sort of movie, but I think he could do it. Yeah,
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a lot of fun watching John Carpenter. All right, we're gonna have some asshole throw kicks, and there's no ghouls and aliens or goblins or shit. You're just gonna fucking beat the shit out of each other, and you're gonna drink Miller Genuine Draft.
That's right.
This film was brought to you by Miller.
That's right.
That's right.
All right, so we gotta rate Roadhouse. So, on a scale of 1 to 10 igloo coolers, what are you gonna give Roadhouse?
I'll give it a 7.5. It's a totally ridiculous film. But that's what makes it fun. The idea is kind of, it's a nice little idea, like, you know, a bouncer coming to town, the bar is a little too rowdy, trying to straighten it out. It's a nice idea, but they totally 80s it up, so it's hammy as shit, it's ridiculous as shit. And then by the end, the film goes totally off the fucking rails, which you may enjoy, you may not. I enjoyed that part, even as disorienting as it is. Patrick Swayze is very good in this. Sam Elliott, for the few lines he's in it, very good. Ben Gazzariga, I can't pronounce his name right now. As Brad Wesley, he's got that very stereotypical 80s, you know, bougie, prick villain aesthetic to him, which is very nice, and his goons are nice. I love seeing Terry Funk in this, you know, throwing haymakers and gorilla pressing guys. A lot of fun. The fights in this film are pretty good. A lot of fun. I think it would benefit more if it didn't go cartoony at the end and go off the rails and focus more on just being bar fighting, because the first hour of the film, and before we get to see the double deuce before it becomes this bougie ritzy bar, it's pretty interesting and fun. But this film is terribly written. There's not a lot to it. It's a fucking stupid idea, but if you can turn your mind off for the hour and 54 minutes that it is, it's a lot of fun. And that's where I think a lot of my rating kind of comes from it. It's stupid as shit, but it's a lot of fun. And I think if it weren't for the well choreographed, you know, fights, it'd probably be a really shitty movie. But it's overall a pretty fun watch, even as cliched and stereotypical it is. So 7.5 for me.
Yeah, I would give it an 8. Honestly, I think it's a really fun movie. It's fun. You kind of, if you enjoy the action elements of it, I think that you'll really like the choreography that's done. I think Patrick Swayze does a great job both acting and, you know, in his stunts. I think that it makes a lot of interesting choices, especially, you know, when it does things like follow a Coogler, which is a really weird storyline, especially considering that he like gets into like specific criminal elements, but I think it works. You know, it's not something that's really done too often in movies, and I like that it has a unique and different storyline to it. It's got some heart to it. It's got some hamminess to it. It definitely has some 80s action vibes that you may or may not like, depending on your preferences. But I think that overall, really entertaining to watch. If you, like Martin said, if you could turn your mind off, just go with it. And I think you'll be a happy camper as you watch Patrick Swayze clap some ass throughout, both literally and figuratively, throughout the movie. So, an 8 for me.
This film also 40 years out. Holy shit, shows you a difference in what beauty standards from the day.
Wait, say that again? How many years out?
Almost 40. I mean, it's like 35 now, but still.
Try again. It was released in 1989, the same year I was born, so it's 33. Jesus Christ, you saying it's 40 years out. Holy crap, I just got a fucking scare there for a second. Middle-aged.
Had to test you out. But no, I mean, it is kind of funny watching films like these today where it's like, because again, like the whole, like, she's got a lot of ass, and it's like, does she?
Yeah, that's it. That was one thing that I was actually thinking. I was like, does she though? Yeah, no, she really doesn't. Actually, I would say that Kelly Lynch is on the somewhat disturbingly skinny side.
She needs a burger.
Take
her to Five Guys.
Her arms are extremely thin, and it scared me. Just thinking about like Patrick Swayze, crushing some of those arms on accident,
throwing her in an arm bar.
Yeah.
All right. Like,
oops.
But no, I mean, it's kind of funny watching films like especially from the 80s to today, like where like the cocaine chic was in, and it's it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's what I would say she had at that time. Like, not saying that she actually did, but she was very, very, very thin, and yeah, a little disturbing to me. All right, so what's on the docket for next time?
RoboCop.
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, RoboCop.
I know we were
because we haven't decided our fourth film yet, so it has to be.
We're doing RoboCop. Yeah, no, that sounds good. This is the original RoboCop, not the remake, the dreaded remake that we did a commentary for.
Which is one of the few films that we did over 2 hours of. So I mean, back when the old days when we used to go on tangents for forever and ever.
Well, it was a commentary, so we had to.
No, I know, but I mean, like, Terminator Genesis and I think Batman v Superman, were like 2.5 hour long escapades.
I think we overestimated people's, willingness to listen to us. Which
RoboCop was for our 1 year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
2 years. This is the only time we've done a commentary track.
It is,
because it's pretty fucking hard to do. To be honest with you.
Are. They are hard to do. I would like to attempt some more, but we have to. You actually have to have like a time where you sit down and watch the movie. You make out your track, and then you record it. You can't do it during the time. You can't just make it up on the fly because that's very difficult, and that's what we try to do. Even things like Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is, pretty well known for doing like their...
There's a lot of dead time. And
sure, and they did... And they were scripted as well, to some extent, so...
But, God, that seems like fucking eons ago.
It was a long time ago.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, even watching the original, like, that's 10 years removed now, almost.
Yeah, it'd be fun to do RoboCop. I watched it not too long ago, actually, and I actually, it'd be a good chance for me because I haven't watched it yet. I have the new 4K.
Ooh,
yeah, so I will be
watching. Will be.
Yeah,
will be.
Yeah,
it's kind of surprising that we're 220 episodes in and we haven't done the original RoboCop yet.
Yeah, there's so many movies to do. That's why we picked things like Mako instead of the creme of the creme.
God damn you. God fucking damn you. I would love to do like a Paul Verhoeven retrospective. Because honestly, have we even done any Paul Verhoeven yet?
No.
We haven't even done Starship Troopers yet.
No.
Or I know, definitely know we haven't done Total Recall.
Nope. Have that one on 4K as well.
Haven't done Showgirls.
No.
Such Basic Instinct.
No.
God, it's such a shame.
Maybe some.
I would, no, that'll have to be like the next big director like month we do. It's like we'll have to do a Paul Verhoeven month or two, because he's Paul Verhoeven.
Well, if you want to hear us do our RoboCop episode and continue our Red Hot 80s action summer, you can subscribe to us on pretty much every podcasting app that you could think of. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, our home base at anchor.fm. Subscribe to us, leave us a nice review. Appreciate it.
They're coming out with Jesus Christ. They're coming out with a RoboCop game.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
New first-person shooter.
Oh, very cool. We have a Facebook page and Twitter page. You can search for them. Just, type in Blood and Black Rum Podcast in there and you'll find us. Follow us on there. Appreciate that. We have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. Write to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Any movies that you want to hear us cover, and we'll take that into consideration. And we also have a Patreon page at patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. You can donate to us. Anything that you donate, we appreciate. It'll go right towards our beer consuming. So we truly appreciate that, because we'll just buy new beers to try on the show. So hopefully you tune back in for our RoboCop episode next week. And until then,
take care.